What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today's topic, as you can see from the title, is going to be a heavier topic. It's going to be a topic that's necessary. Yesterday, I had a conversation with someone. A normal person, as they call them. An average person. Whatever a normal or average person is. He's an accountant, and we were having a conversation. He's aware of the fact that I was arrested at 19 for a shooting, and at 20 I was convicted, of second-degree murder as a result of that senseless shooting. He told me that he would like to think that if somebody grabbed his wife, came into his home and grabbed his wife, he would like to think that he would be capable of killing that intruder in order to defend his wife. He's not sure if he could, but he'd like to believe he could. And he said, but he doesn't know how he would be able to cope with the knowledge that he took a life after the fact. And so we had a discussion about that, and I gave my the reality of who I was at 19 and who I was for a large period of my life. I was someone who didn't place value on my own life, my own freedom. I put more value in my neighborhood and how I represented it. I put more value in that than I did on being a good person and a productive member of society. I actually was a very, very productive member of the society that I chose, not the society as we know it. Am I proud of that? No, I'm not. But it doesn't erase the fact that that's who I was. So I want to do this video and I want to talk about how unfortunately there are people still gangbanging. Unfortunately, there are still gangs around in barrios and hoods, whatever you want to call them. Unfortunately, they are still around. Unfortunately, there are people that are still taking other people's lives. And I want to talk to those who think that is a cool thing. Those of you that are in the streets right now, packing guns, packing knives, willing to take that step. I want to ask you right now. So those of you that are willing to do that, I want to make sure that we erase any type of glamour or misconception that Hollywood or your homeboy that never done any time put in your head when it comes to doing time and taking a life, right? So those of you that are willing to do that are willing to take a life, that are gangbanging, that your neighborhood is where it's at, and you're gonna sacrifice everything for it. I'm sure you have a homeboy or two or more that you grew up with, and he already made that sacrifice. He took a life, and he's sitting down. He's doing a life sentence for the neighborhood. And you have not checked up on his old lady once. You have not, if he has any kids that he left behind, you have not checked up on his kids. You have not checked on the cupboards in the refrigerator and make sure that they have enough to eat. You haven't checked up on your homeboy's mom to make sure she's not struggling, having to pay her own bills and then still send money to her son and packages to her son that sacrifice for you and your neighborhood. You haven't done those things. So make sure that you don't get mad when you do the thing that you're willing to do and nobody helps your family or your kids, your mom or you. Understand, they're just doing what you did. See, taking a life is easy, Holmes. It's very, very easy. Doing time, that's a whole nother thing. And let's talk about that. So Hollywood and a couple irresponsible YouTubers would lead you to believe that when you catch that body, when you toe tag that person and you hit the system, that whatever you claim, whatever faction you fall up under, it is going to be a racial or ethnic rival of yours that you're going to have to keep your eyes on because they're out to get you. Nope. Nah. Don't worry about that. Pay attention. You pay attention to every single man behind those walls. See, I can only talk about California, but this message is for everybody. But see, out here in California, the system is divided racially, ethnically. It's also divided by disruptive groups, prison factions. True story. And while it's smart to pay attention to other groups, your own homeboys, probably someone you grew up with, is going to be the one that's going to be punching that knife into you over and over. If you do something that your group doesn't like. So he'll punch a bunch of holes in your body for you until he decides he's tired, or he decides you've had enough, or until the cop shoots him off of you. In either case, the convict or the cop did their job. You didn't. You forced them to do theirs. Is it right? Well, in their eyes it is. In yours? No. You didn't have it coming. But see, that's why when you go to prison, you're really going to have to mind somebody. Play the tough guy in the streets all you want. Live by your own set of rules all you want. You are extremely irrelevant once you hit the system. So, whatever it is that has you thinking that throwing away your life, your freedom, taking a life for your neighborhood is where it's at, well, you're going to find out. I've said a bunch of times, in my family, I'm the fourth one that got busted for murder. I was the last of the four, right? And I remember my mom's brother driving from LA to come see me in the county jail. And I remember what he told me. He said, "You wanted to be a tough guy, huh?" And he laughed. And he said, "Well, you're going where the big boys are now." He said, "You're going to find out how tough you are." He said, "The only advice I got for you is every time that gate racks, you better have your boots on before the doors open." He said, "And if you feel like you need to read the Bible, Proverbs is pretty good." He handed the phone to my mom, walked out, jumped in his car, and went back to LA, laughing at me. He had done 8 years, had life without, and his case got overthrown on his murder case. Doing time is not easy. Taking a life is. Kids can do it. Sometimes you hear in the news a kid finds their father's gun or whatever, and he's playing with it, and the gun goes off, and unfortunately takes the life of a sibling. I don't care how fit and how strong, how big a dude is. He could work out in the gym all day, all night. His life is fragile. It only takes a second or two to turn out the light. And there's no coming back from that. And everyone that takes a life, unless they're a straight up psychopath, sociopath, every single dude that I know that isn't a psychopath or a sociopath when they take a life, there's a certain point where they understand the magnitude of the horrible decision or decisions that led them to take a life or lives. You know, when I see these dudes, you know, I did a story on this dude that he caught that case, and he caught a body in New Folsom, and then 6 years ago, and then here he is again catching another body. And at some point, I don't know what cell he's going to be in. I don't know which prison he's going to be in. But it's going to dawn on him. At some point, it's going to dawn on him. Fuck. I came in with 6 years. I'm going to fucking die in here. And how he responds is based on how mentally tough he is. I've seen that realization hit people, and they take their lives or they lose their minds. Others cope with it. And if they're fortunate enough, internally they take personal responsibility. And while they have to be a tough guy in prison, hopefully they have better phone calls with the child or children they left behind, the mom that they left behind. Because those are the ones that are going to love you. Those are the ones that are not going to politic on you. When you're doing time, it is a cold game. If you're out in the streets right now hearing this and you don't like being told what to do, and that's why you run your own program, you're going to have a rude awakening once you hit the joint. For reals. Try switching it up out here. Make better decisions. Do better for your family first. If you can't bring yourself to do better for yourself out of whatever guilt, out of whatever it is that drives you to feel like you're not worthy right now, well, your mom is. If you got any kids, your kids are. Your wife is. They're worthy of you being a better man. And as you work towards being a better man for them, you'll start believing that you deserve it. Then you find peace in your heart, hopefully, some happiness, and a better life. Because you ain't living when you're behind them walls. You're just existing. You are a ghost. You're an apparition. You're an apparition in people's minds out here. Like, damn, man, I remember when homeboy did this and this and that. And you might be, at the time they're having that memory, ODing in your cell. Stabbing somebody on the yard. Getting stabbed. Getting shot behind those walls. And then they got to get that phone call. Or that letter from you. How about everybody start wanting to represent their last name before everything else? Put your last name before the name on that street, the name of your city, the name of your neighborhood. How about we start there, man? Let's as a collective, start trying to teach our kids that, our nieces and nephews. Have more pride in your last name. Make that thing shine. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.